oh God, I can't go anywhere. I can't buy anything apart from Amazon. And like it all turned up at the door the next day, you know? So, I just, just to finish off, I think they just have a bit of a responsibility now that they've got to a certain level, now that he and his company are making so much cash. He now has to think, listen, I've got a bit of a stranglehold on the market at the moment. How can I turn this money-making machine into something that works well and that's good? How can I fund local societies? How can I be good to the environment? How can I make sure my employees are happy and healthy? How can I do X, Y, and Z? Because I imagine that in the early days, it's very easy to think, God, I've got to cut a few corners, or my employees have got to put up with long hours or something to like make sure we get the product out and become the biggest company in the world. But they're almost one of the biggest companies in the world now. So now is the time where it's like, okay, great. How do we tweak it? How do we, they're going to get a lot of criticism, and rightly so. So they should think, right, how do we address this criticism? Because we're massive and we've got loads of cash. How do we be good as well? So I think it's a balance, isn't it? Like, I don't think that he's a villain, even though he's portrayed as this massive Bond villain. Like, I also think like, He's fantastic, doing a good job. Now is the time to sort of address a few of your concerns, and make sure it works for everybody.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I would be... I actually kind of don't think he needs to think like that. Well, he's stepping down. I kind of think... Okay. I'm absolutely fine with him being as brutal as he needs to be, because if the working conditions are that bad, people will stop taking the jobs. In a world where we are allowed to work and things are working properly, and the government isn't telling us where we can work and can't work, there are other options out there. You don't have to work for Amazon, and that in itself, that option there, instantly means that he has to make his job worthwhile. And if it's not worthwhile, people wouldn't do it. They really wouldn't. Yeah, definitely. I don't think he's operating some sort of like slave labour regime. I'm definitely not saying that. I'm sure it's, from people I've spoken to that work for Amazon, it sounds like they've just got some niggles, right? And and that a company that large is not going to get away with a bit of criticism. So I think it's more about tweaking, is what I'm saying. I don't think it's a bad company. I just think, listen, if they're shipping out all these parcels a day, they've got to try and remove some of the plastic. And if they're driving all these vans all over the world, make some of them electric. Do your best to make them electric. Think things like that. It's like, they're not bad. It's not a bad company. It's not doing bad stuff. I think they just need to tweak now, and because they're on such a massive scale. If they make one little tweak, it saves, 1 trillion tons of plastic over a year, or 1 trillion tons of carbon, or whatever it may be. Give every employee an extra 10 minutes off, or whatever it is that like helps them out. And I know they don't have to do that, but I think they're at such a massive stage now that they're not going to get away with not being as good as they can be, basically, because they're so big. Yeah, definitely. I'm with you on that. I think the environmental thing's the big one, isn't it? That's I would maybe argue that there needs to be some sort of eco-friendly competitor that would have to come into the market to make that happen. I don't think they're going to do that on their own. That's a good shout. Some sort of like very energy efficient. It would have to be a small market, because you probably couldn't compete with Amazon straight away on a like global scale. But you could maybe just do like a UK brand of all the vans are electric. All the packaging's biodegradable. There's no plastic or anything like that. Costs a bit more, but people will. We know through other companies that will work. People will spend extra for that, especially in a developed country like the UK. So that's a market there for sure. Yeah. But I don't think they'll ever do that. I just think just because of that's how companies work, they need to have the pressure of another company that's undercutting them or serving a better product. Yeah, for sure. I think with the car thing, I think that would change naturally over the next 10 years. There's a new law that I think it's by 2030 they won't be selling petrol and diesel cars in the UK. Yeah, which you two are going to be triggered by. Hate it, mate. I hate it so much. I think that's so, again, the government poking their nose into something that they have no idea what they're doing. Anyway, all what they're doing is they're making us spend more money on something that we don't necessarily want or need. And it's also... Do you not think we need it?
devil's advocate, do you not think we need it?
No, I don't. I don't think we do.
I mean,
no,
don't get me wrong. I don't want it. I do not want to drive a Prius. No way on this earth do I want to drive that. But do you not think we need it? I just think the only thing stopping me from driving a sick electric car is the fact that BMW don't make one. Or the fact that, I can't afford the IA to whatever it is, and I also don't want to drive a crappy little Prius. So what's in between? If there was something in between that was cool, fast, and electric, I'd buy it.
Exactly, you would, yeah. So you've just instantly given a gap in the market for a company to come up with a product perfectly for you. But what the government are doing now is they've stopped all companies giving any incentive for innovation whatsoever. They're like, oh, sweet. Okay, so the electric cars we made 10 years ago, you have to buy it now. We don't have to do anything else to these cars. Yeah. They're done. So by not stopping our freedom of choice to buy what we want, we've instantly slowed down innovation, in my opinion. And quite frankly, the UK or even the US, people driving is a fraction of the problem compared to India, China, a lot of Africa that are developing through with these coal burning energy plants and stuff like that. And that's the big issue. I'm not blaming them at all, because I completely understand why they're doing it. We did it for years, and and got all the benefits of it, and now we sort of moved on to natural gas mainly, or nuclear, or there is still coal, but very little. So you see what I'm saying? Like, our cars are really not going to do anything, quite frankly, compared to these massive developing countries that are just polluting like crazy. So
how do we stop
in my head, so how do we stop it? We give them more money. We develop those countries as quickly as we can. Because you can look at the signs. As soon as a country or the average earnings in a country goes up enough, people start caring about their environment.
Yeah,
and they start spending it on things that are better for the environment. And the government can then start investing in infrastructure that's like more better for the environment. Like natural gas, it's got a bad name, and it's so much better than any other fossil fuel. It's like 3% compared to like 50% of the carbon emissions, rather, as coal is. It's like 3%. It's almost a green energy. I know it's not, but it's so much better. But we've got India, which is obviously a massive country with an insane population, fueling itself on coal plants, which is the worst of them. But it's one step better than burning trees, but it's still really bad.
All right.
So we invest in India. We do what capitalism is already doing. We bring these countries up. We bring Africa up. China's, to be fair, going more nuclear. They're building like one nuclear plant every few months or something crazy.
Wow, that's nuts.
Yeah, dude. They've been doing it for a while, to be fair. So I just think we are, again, governments can't fix these problems. They don't know how to, in my opinion, and if they try to, they're gonna make it worse or slow it down. So that BMW car that you want, Adam, in my opinion, will be you'll get that slower because of what the government's done.
Right. Okay. Cool.
And the infrastructure around electric cars is going to be slower as well, in my opinion.
So Greg, put all that in your manifesto.
It's in my manifesto. Vote Greg. Vote Greg. I'll stop ranting this episode. That's my last rant for this episode. No more from me, I promise.
Greg, it's that nuclear power and good old-fashioned family values.
Yeah. Red, white and blue, baby. I like
it.
Vote Greg.
You know what? I don't know whether I should bring this up or not. It's super contentious, and it shouldn't be. But today I received a replacement passport, and it's blue, right? And that's sort of caused a lot of hubbub over the last few years, right? Because that was one of the things that Brexiteers were like, oh, I really want my blue passport back, right? And I'll be honest, I'm happy with the blue passport. I like it. I think it's great. I think it's a good symbol. I don't think it's a negative symbol. I think that's what it's been portrayed as, right? It's been portrayed as this sort of little England, stupid idiot trying to get his own way in the world sort of passport, right? And I don't think that's what it is. I think what it is a nation kind of giving itself a reboot and sort of setting its way in the world again and trying to be as good as it can be, and sort of the opening up of a lot of opportunities, right? You can see some bad stuff with it, and some of it I won't disagree with you on, but I think generally it's a good thing, right? I like this blue passport, and at the end of the day, it is just a symbol. I completely agree with that. It means nothing. It means zero, less than nothing. It's just a colour on a passport. So I'm not going to say to you it means more than that, but it's a nice symbol, right? And I quite like it, and I'm quite happy for people to disagree with me, and quite happy for people to lament the loss of the red European passport. But for me, I'm pleased with the blue one. What about you two? What do you reckon? Is this a day to celebrate, or is this a darkening of days, like some people have been saying?
For me personally, it's got no kind of the blue passport before my time, and it didn't really mean anything to me, but I know it did for elder generations. But like you say, the status of it and the kind of the significance of it it's like you said, it doesn't mean anything, but I think it is, it's quite nice. It's like a little novelty thing. It's like,
yeah, symbolic, right?
Yeah, exactly. So even though the blue, it's not like harking back to the old days, because I never had a blue passport personally. I'm all for it. I think it'd be cool. But Greg might have a more detailed answer than that.
No, mate, I don't. I think I totally agree with you. Like, yeah, it was never a big deal for me. I mean, I was a supporter of Brexit by the end. I did vote to remain, funnily enough, but by the end of it, I changed my mind. And I think it's a symbol of sort of like independence. It's a symbol of sort of, it's almost, you can think of it as like the world is more open to us now, possibly. Yeah. And with this sort of sovereign nation with our blue passport. The only thing that's going to annoy me is because obviously I've got an American passport which is also blue, so I'm almost certain I'm going to mix it up one time and it's going to be a disaster.
I can't wait for that to happen. That's going to be great. Mate, I'm exactly the same. I've got an Australian one and it's blue, and now I've got more blue passports than I've got red. I've got 2 blue and 1 red.
Like a spy, mate, like Jason Bourne over here. Like, how many passports you got?
I got 3. I got a safety deposit box with 3 passports, a gun, and then like $1,000 in every currency on the planet.
Yeah. Do you mean it's buried under concrete that you have to sledgehammer it out when like the government's coming for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's in the basement. Yeah, there's a little a brick that I have to remove to get it out,
and a fake moustache.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's not part of the spying. I just like a tash.
Yeah.
How about this sports situation at the moment, boys? What are we watching? Are we following the Manchester derby at the top of the table? Are we following Six Nations? Are we following cricket? What are we following? I reckon George should kick us off with his sports chat. What have you been watching, mate?
Yeah, just football, mate. To be honest, do you know what? I'm fuming. 8 years of 7 years, 8 years of Fergie going.
So you're a United fan,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I'm Manchester United fan, typical Southerner. Yeah, but no, it's I grew up with it. My dad, a Man United fan, my nan. There's pictures of me from 4 or 5 years old, just wearing Man United shirts. So
nice.
Part of me kind of thinks, it would have been nice to some of our friends are Portsmouth fans back home and have that kind of local connection. So part of me does kind of think, it would have been quite nice to have a local team. But saying that, I've grown up with Man United, love them to bits. I was lucky enough to go to quite a few games growing up. My dad and my uncle had a season ticket, so they'd do the round trip every other weekend. Then they'd have a spare ticket every now and then. So nice. Lucky enough to like the rubbish games, like the Birmingham Cities and who else was there? Wiggins, like those kind of games when Barry, Uncle Barry was like, "No, do you know what? I'll give this one a miss." I think. They go to exactly
high scoring games though, so they must have been quite fun to watch. I bet.
Yeah, no, they're good. They're good. As a kid going to see old Man United at Old Trafford, it was the absolute dream. So very lucky in that sense. But so growing up with Man United, love them to bits. And since Fergie went, it's just like every Man United fan will tell you, it's been an absolute disaster. Yeah, not disaster's maybe a bit strong, but it's been a mess. It's been an absolute mess.
I mean, listen, I'm sick of the moaning, lads, because you're still second in the Premier League. Right, I've had enough of it. Think about poor Notts County fans, right?